Well, we've had more than our share of rain for the last couple of weeks. I'm getting downright sick of rain. See, we got the prisoner detail coming down the road, picking up trash and litter. One thing about this, the people around here, is a bunch of litter bugs. If we didn't have the services of these prisoners that you see going down the road, it would be a lot worse than what it is. I spend more time than you can shake a stick at out there picking up trash out of my yard almost every other morning. Of course, I ain't been out there in this rain to pick none up. You know, I don't see none of them boys really killing themselves out there. But they are picking up some trash and litter. We've had so much rain here that it reminds me of a story, and I don't have it planned on exactly how to tell it, but I'll tell it anyway. 21 years ago, a tropical storm, not quite strong enough to be a hurricane, came up from the south end of the state and just kind of lingered here for a week or two. We had rain coming out our ears. Yeah, after about a week or so of raining, the rivers and creeks all flowed over, and there was drastic flooding all over Georgia. I know there's other places in the United States here has a lot of problems with flooding. It wasn't often that we get flooding like that. It was so bad that coffins were floating up out of the ground in the cemeteries down in South Georgia. I mean, that takes a soggy dirt for the air in the coffin to make it float up through the dirt and come to the surface and float down the river. But they literally had coffins floating down the river. Some of them wasn't even marked. They didn't even know where they belonged. But the train yard in Macon got severely flooded. It was boxcars and trains underwater. Me living here in Griffin, I was stationed in Griffin at the time, they told me to bring my truck, I had a railroad truck that I drove home every day, to Atlanta, pick up a big huge air compressor, and hook it to my trailer hitch and tow it to Macon. And I did. Well, they had the highways all blocked when I got down there. I had to find a back road to get into Macon. Got down to the train yard, and it was literally underwater. I mean, you could look out across the class yard and see the top half of boxcars sticking up out like they were in the middle of a river. So I dropped off that air compressor, and they told me to go down by the Okemulgee River and inspect some cars as soon as the water went down. The water was going down pretty good by then at the river. There was a train got stranded along the river there. And they said, we believe it's been underwater. The train crew had to abandon it. Well, I got to the locomotives, and you know how high locomotives sit up off the ground. There were pine trees sticking out the windows of the locomotive where the water had been that high, and they were floating down the river and just got stuck all over the locomotive. Some of them were literally sticking through the window. I said, and they called them on the radio, and they said, yep. I told them, yeah, it's been flooded. Well, how do you know? Can you tell there's water in the boxes in the journals? I said, well, there's trees sticking out the window. I reckon there's water. The journals were underwater. You got to send a machinist down here to check these things out when you get a chance. They said, well, walk the train, and check all the cars. So I'm literally walking in ankle-deep water, and it's gone down to enough where I can find my way down the side of the tracks by staying right up close to the rail. But it was like flooded on both sides of me. I was looking for alligators and water moccasins and everything else. I got about halfway down that train, and I got to some tank cars. Well, the tank cars, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but a steel tank car will float. It'll float right up off the trucks. The wheels won't float, but the tank car is like a giant bobber. If it's empty and doesn't have any product in it, it'll float. Well, I never thought about that. When I got to them tank cars, they had literally floated up off the, what they call the center pin, off the truck bolsters. Floated off to one side, but it couldn't float away because it still had all the brake rods and stuff hooked up. And wheels and trucks underneath them, like an anchor, keeping them from washing away. There was 10 or 15 tank cars that literally floated up off the trucks, shifted to one side, and when the river went back down, well, naturally they couldn't line back up on the center pin anymore. So they were just leaning. Some of them were turned over and leaning real bad when they settled down on top of that center pin. Well, you're going to need a wrecking crew down here to get some of these boogers up. Well, they didn't believe me. They had to come down there and see for themselves. Well, they believed me, I guess, but they didn't realize how bad it was. And that was quite a sight. The Atlanta Derrick had to come down there and pick them up and put them back on the trucks. And they were down there for, I don't know how long it took them to do it, but they had to go to Macon anyway to pick up some of the other stuff that floated away down there. This raining we've had here, it just reminds me of that. And I didn't get too involved with the wrecking details on that situation, other than just inspect it and tell them about it, because they had me get back in my truck and go to Atlanta and do running repairs all over Atlanta while all the men up there were going to Macon to help out the people in Macon. They just put me to work on the road, going around fixing cars all over Atlanta. But I don't look forward to it. That happening too often. That was like a once in 100-year flood we had here. But this rain we've had here lately sure reminds me of it. It's not a detailed story. I wish I had some photos to show you, but I don't. But it's been a while since I did a video, so we're going to make this a vlog. Kind of update my friends on what's going on. Going to have surgery on my left eye next week and do the cataract surgery on that. And then I'll have both of my cataract surgeries completed. And then they're going to do surgery on my eyes to realign them. They have to go in and cut the ligaments that work your eyeballs and pull them one way or the other with stitches or whatever to make them line up again. Try to get rid of some of this double vision. I don't look forward to it, but I know I'm getting tired of double vision. So that's where I'm at. I can't get out and do much rail fanning on account of this rain. I'm sure I'm getting tired of it. I'm going to get my mower out here in the next couple of days and chop up some of these leaves. That is, after it dry up. I just get stuck out there in the mud right now. Thanks for listening to me carry on. This is Walter, wishing everybody a drier day.